months in spring 2008 when he invited me to meet his parents for the first time at their Passover Seder. It had been years since I'd been in any relationship, let alone with anyone's parents, so I was pretty eager to win them over. And besides, Dave had real potential, and I was 28, and damn it, I was ready for love. And so I was willing to overlook a few things, like, you know, Dave's occasional moodiness and the fact that they served noodles at this Passover Seder. But that night where I'd show up with the bouquet and be the charming, witty girlfriend never happened. Instead, I met Dave's parents for the first time at the psych ward of the local hospital where he was under evaluation. Dave and I had met through this young professionals group that had become my primary social outlet since I moved to New Jersey and learned that living an hour outside Manhattan is nothing like living in Manhattan. He was tall, an architect, and he went along with my zany ideas. At my birthday bar crawl that year, I decided everyone would wear wigs, and Dave showed up with this long, flowing pirate wig, complete with an eye patch, and it looked really great with my little, you know, blonde afro wig, and I sort of started, you know, wrapping myself up in the idea that we were becoming a couple. I still believed that I would meet the love of my life in suburban New Jersey, and so I really wanted him to like me, and I glossed over some red flags. His past depression, his work problems that he always blamed on himself. By mid-April, all that cute couple stuff had faded, and our conversation started to be dominated by Dave's moods and what his therapist was saying. And at his therapy session a few days before the big Seder, he told the therapist he was having suicidal thoughts. She had him drive straight to the hospital, and he called me from there, and where he was under evaluation. I shifted into emotional autopilot as I drove to the hospital and met his parents and brother in the lobby. We exchanged awkward hugs and joked about how we hadn't planned on meeting like this. We spent the next 2 hours in the hospital psych ward just wringing our hands and coaching Dave on what to say when he met with the head of psychiatry. If he could convince this doctor that he wasn't a harm to himself or others, he could go home and life could return to something resembling normal. If not, he was committing himself, canceling the Seder, and going down the rabbit hole. His parents were desperate to bring him home that night, no matter the risk. I guess they really just wanted to eat those noodles and Seder together as a family. And I went along with their plan, not really sure if it was the right thing to do, but knowing I couldn't break up with someone suicidal. Dave didn't convince the head of psychiatry, and so he spent 3 days in the hospital and another week at an inpatient mental facility. My mind started to blur as I sat on my friend's couch, just, you know, sobbing, drinking Chardonnay, and resolving I would do whatever it took to bring back the Dave that I had met. I wish I could say this was the low point, or that, you know, that I did everything right, but it wasn't, and I did not. In fact, I had no idea what I was doing. After he got out of the hospital, Dave went to live with his parents. They just painted their hallways this like electric day-glow melon color. So I was thrilled when he was able to go and like move into his own apartment. I had taken on the role of, you know, mental health cheerleader during this time with pom-poms of optimism and reminders that life is fantastic. So I, you know, rolled up my sleeves and went apartment hunting with Dave to tell him about all the great times we'd had in this apartment. I once tried having sex with him in that apartment, which if you've never had sex with somebody who's been recently released from a mental institution and still taking massive doses of antidepressants, I don't recommend it. It's like something that should be fun, but ends up being a total disaster, sort of like New Year's Eve, but like while naked. In another page from my handbook of misguided but well-intentioned ideas, I suggested that Dave and I go down to the river that ran near his apartment, and he cast away his depression like so many breadcrumbs. He went along with it, God bless him, just like he had at the wake party, only now he had this like smile plastered on his face, like a mask to keep from falling apart. You might ask, like, why did I stay, right? You know, we hadn't been dating that long, we hadn't had any serious talks about the future, but breaking up with him felt like a personal defeat for me, and what if he did hurt himself? When people would ask, I would say, you know, if he had cancer, I wouldn't leave. Why should this be any different? Dave wanted to break up. He kept saying he was a bad boyfriend, which I attributed to the depression, and reassured him, no, you're great. You call when you say you will. You haven't cheated. My emotional needs weren't even part of the equation. Over Memorial Day weekend, we went to go see Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and like a really lousy one. And I'm very picky about my movies, so if I was willing to see this, I was in too deep. This relationship had become the hardest thing I'd been through since AP chemistry class, and that didn't go so well either. My hair started falling out. I couldn't set boundaries. I felt like I had to just keep sacrificing, keep proving. I was too embarrassed to tell a lot of my coworkers and friends, so I started seeing a therapist, and she finally helped me realize that there isn't shame in having limits, and that it's important to be able to walk yourself back away from the edge before you fall off. By June, I no longer knew who the real Dave was. Was he the wig-wearing goofball, or the guy whose mouth just sort of gaped open when he kissed me? It didn't really matter. He wasn't equipped to be in any relationship, and in my efforts to be the ultimate supportive girlfriend, I couldn't go any further. We talked on the phone, and it was over. That stabbing pain you get in your foot after it falls asleep? You shake it? That's what it felt like as the blood started flowing to my own feelings again. It was months before I could watch an antidepressants commercial without crying, and even today, when I drive past that hospital, an electric bolt of anxiety over what I felt like I had to do for love to push myself just runs up my spine.